Right, so at long last my bearing came. Sign of quality comes in a plastic bag. The bearing hasn't even got any numbers on it, that's how good it is. But it's certainly better than the one we've taken out. And of course now we'll have better oil pressure, at least the oil will get to this bearing. Near it's a nice one. But yeah, that one kaput. Now we'll install it. I've already put the O-ring on here. Alright, and now I'm going to press that bearing into here. No, first of all, tell a lie, I'm going to press it onto here first and then install it into there. So that goes on like that with the circlip to hold it on. So I'll press that on. So there's the bearing on, circlip on, and you can see now the pin in here, it can't come out, so it's pretty good. It's going to be a nice job. So now we'll press it into this housing here. I have to think which way it went round, and then we'll put the little snap ring in. So there's that piece all assembled. Now it is kind of important, like I said, because it drives the vacuum pump, and that now will fit onto there, and that will drive your vacuum pump. Now why is it that I'm making such a big deal about it? Well, according to the book you have to fit these in a certain position. Lord knows why, I don't know. Well, we'll go and have a look at the engine and we'll find out. The Land Rover Workshop manual for this 200 TDI is quite a confusing piece of literature. I've got the cam in, and as you can see down here, there's the cam. And now, with this skew gear all built up, I'm going to fit it into the block. But for some strange reason it says this. You have to line the keyway up with the slot here for the keeper plate. Let's just move this O-ring out the way. There you go. See, and we'll have a look at it down here. So there it is. There's the slot, the oil slot, and there's the key. So this doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because it says you put the gear in. That's how it was done at the factory. So you have to put this in so that this faces the vent. Well, that doesn't make any sense because this turns around. There's actually no vent in it. There's a vent on the side of this housing, but it says, yeah, so we've done that bit. And we have to put a bush in. That's easy. That's that thing there. The hole here goes to the bottom like that. But here it says fitting the vacuum pump using a new gasket. Now don't get confused with this because there's two gaskets. There's one with a large hole and one with a small hole. The small hole here goes on the pump. This one's for your injector pump. Right? But it doesn't say which side it should go on because there's an O-ring on here, but not on that side. I don't know what they're talking about. Fitting the vacuum pump. Now the vacuum pump itself has to go so that that suction side here goes to the front. But I don't know what they mean about putting that skew gear in, because it can go in actually anywhere. You know, it doesn't really matter which way it goes in. There's no actual timing mark on it and nothing. In the old days, when you had a petrol engine, there's a master spline in here. Alright, so then it had to line up, otherwise your distributor would be out. You know, you had to mess about getting the two lined up. Well, there's no markings on it. And the skew gear, the little drive pin here, well, it doesn't matter which way that goes. I hope you're with me so far. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it my way, like Frank Sinatra. We're going to put this bush in, like I say, hole at the bottom, push it down. There's a grub screw just behind the oil pump down here. Right, we take the bolts out and there's a little grub screw in there, and that's where we push our bush down into to locate, so we'll do that. So this is interesting. I've already got the cam and the tappets in this block, but I want to put this bush in and you can't get it in because of the cam. So I'm going to have to turn this engine upside down so that the tappets and all the rollers fall into this little tappet holders here, so I can take the cam, just move it back a little bit, drop this bush in, It would be nice if they said that in the book at the beginning. Well, after a bit of messing about, I got the bush in and lined up. I managed to get the cam to come back. I had to take the fuel pump off because the cam had jumped off, but fortunately there was enough space to push the cam back over like this way so I could get the bush in. It is just on the edge of those teeth for the skew gear. I've got the pin in now with the bolt in. It took me a little while, but I'm going to turn this cam over to make sure all these lifters are lifting and nothing's dropped off. I didn't hear anything fall out, but it should be alright. So I had a thought that this gasket actually went under here, but it's too small a hole, so it has to go on the top, because that makes sense because it goes around here like that, and there's holes there for the vacuum to be pulled through the block. So that's what we're going to do. Now we're going to try and line that slot up with that pin down inside there that you can't see, and at the same time put this pointing forward. It might not be all that easy, but oh, well, it was. Now I didn't put any sealer on that gasket. It's a little bit oily, but I didn't put any sealer on just in case I have to take it out again. So we'll put those in, tighten it down, then we can start to build the front end up. So to finish this side off, let's put a new gasket on the fuel pump, put it back on. That's got gaskets on, torque down, torque down. Now we're going to fit the oil filter housing. I've already got a new pressure switch, so I'm just going to wait for that to get them bolted on, then I can tighten it down and then we can put this on. It's good to put an oil pressure switch in now so you can get at it. Now I have already put a new O-ring in here. Down here. I've already put a new O-ring in here, and I'll try and do an insert of when I actually and show you the old one. This was the O-ring that came out. You see, it's like a triangular shape, but this is the O-ring that has to go in, and it's a ERC 5913. It's very important you put this one back in. If you put something that's a little bit bigger, you'll crack the housing here. They always do. So we'll get those torqued down, and then we're going to put some blanking plugs in these ports so no dirt gets into them. And now we'll tighten up that oil pressure switch. We're going to be fitting a new Marl filter to this. I'm going to just put a little bit of oil on here and on the thread, but I'm not going to fill it up with oil this time. Usually I fill them up, but because it's not, you know, I'm going to do that later, but I'll just remind myself about that. And we can screw that on. Remember, it's not charged up with oil. I always like to fill the oil filters up before fitting them, but in this instance, because we're going to be turning the engine upside down and all over the place, we don't want oil spilling all over. So like I say, I've got a couple of blanks in there, that's alright, that's blanked off, that's blanked off. I'll blank this and I'll blank that.